Have you ever failed someone you love desperately? Peter, Jesus' bravest disciple, swore he would die for him, but that very same night, fear spoke louder. This is the story of a devastating denial and a look of forgiveness. The night was cold. Jesus had just been arrested in Gethsemane. The disciples, terrified, scattered. They all fled. But not Peter. Not completely. His heart was torn between overwhelming fear and his love for his master. He followed Jesus, but he followed him at a distance. He slipped into the courtyard of the high priest, where Jesus was being questioned. It was a dangerous place, filled with enemies. Peter blended in with the guards and servants, gathered around a fire. He was trying to warm himself from the cold of the night, and from the chill of his own fear. He was a shadow, trying to watch without being seen. Then, a servant girl saw him. The light from the fire lit up his anxious face. She looked at him and said, "You also were with Jesus of Galilee." Peter's heart froze. All eyes turned to him. Panic took over. He denied it. "Woman," he said loudly for everyone to hear, "I don't know him. I don't know what you're talking about." He got up, trying to escape the light, and moved toward the gateway, the first step away from his Lord. A little later, another girl saw him there. She said to the people nearby, "This fellow was with Jesus of Nazareth." The pressure mounted. He was being recognized. Peter denied it a second time. This time, he swore an oath. "I don't even know the man," he cursed. He used an oath to validate his lie. Every word was a stab into his own soul. About an hour passed. Jesus' interrogation continued inside. Peter's agony was growing. Then, others standing there came up to him. "Surely you are one of them," they said. "Your accent gives you away. You're a Galilean." They surrounded him. There was nowhere left to hide. It was the final test of his loyalty, and he failed. Peter, the man who walked on water. Peter, who declared, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Peter, who had sworn just hours before, "Master, even if all fall away, I will never fall away. I will lay down my life for you." This same Peter began to call down curses on himself, and he swore, "I don't know this man you're talking about." He shouted his denial, and at the very moment the curse left his lips, the silence of the night was shattered. The rooster crowed. It wasn't an ordinary sound. It was the sound of prophecy fulfilled, the sound of his failure. At that very same instant, inside the courtyard, Jesus was being led by the guards. He stopped, and he turned, and he looked. He looked directly at Peter. Their eyes met across the courtyard. It wasn't a look of anger. It wasn't an "I told you so" look. It was a look of sorrow, a look of broken love, a look that said, "I knew you would, Peter, and I love you anyway." That gaze broke Peter's heart into 1,000 pieces. The memory of Jesus' words flooded his mind. "Before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times." It was all true. Peter couldn't breathe. He ran out of the courtyard, stumbling into the darkness. He went to a solitary place, and there, alone with his shame and his pain, he wept. He wept bitterly. It was the cry of a broken man, the cry of someone who had seen just how weak his own strength was. Peter failed. He hit rock bottom. But Peter's story does not end in his tears. That look from Jesus, which brought the pain of conviction, also carried the promise of restoration. Jesus knew Peter would deny him, and Jesus had already forgiven him before the rooster ever crowed. Peter's failure teaches us that our faith can falter, but the grace of Jesus never fails. He does not define us by our worst moments. He meets us in our bitter weeping and calls us back to himself.